Namaskaram. The glory of the chapter 9 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The story of the Brahmin Madhava. On the sacred banks of the river Narmada stood the ancient city of Mahishmati. There lived a venerable Brahmana named Madhava, renowned for his mastery of the Vedas and his impeccable conduct. His life was a living commentary on Dharma marked by restraint, purity, compassion, and learning. Because of his knowledge and virtue, people from far and wide honored him with generous gifts. Using this wealth with pious intent, Madhava resolved to conduct an elaborate Vedic sacrifice. As preparations were underway, a goat was procured in accordance with ritual custom. When the priest began purifying the animal prior to the offering, an astonishing event occurred. To the utter disbelief of all present, the goat burst into laughter and spoke in a clear, resonant voice. O Brahmana, what lasting gain is there in sacrifices that merely entangle the soul further in the endless cycle of birth and death? Behold my condition. This is the outcome of such acts. The gathering stood frozen in wonder. Madhava, humbled and shaken, approached the goat with folded hands and asked respectfully, How did you come to possess this form? What was your birth in your previous life, and by what deeds did you arrive at this fate? The goat replied calmly, O learned one, I was once born into a spotless Brahmana lineage. I meticulously observed all Vedic rites and lived according to prescribed duties. One day, however, my wife, distressed by our child's illness, desired to worship goddess Durga and asked me to procure a goat for sacrifice. Though reluctant, I complied. When the animal was slain, it cursed me, saying, Since you have made my offspring fatherless, you too shall be born as a goat. When death came, I assumed this form. Yet by the mercy of Lord Govinda, the memory of my former births has not left me. After a pause, the goat continued, If you permit, I shall narrate another incident that reveals a deeper truth. In the sacred land of Kurukshetra, bestower of liberation, there once ruled a king named Chandrasharma, born in the illustrious solar dynasty. During a solar eclipse, the king resolved to perform great acts of charity. After bathing in a holy lake, adorning himself with clean garments and sandal paste, and following all ritual injunctions, he offered gifts to qualified Brahmana. Among the items given was a worker of pitch black complexion, symbolically surrendered as part of the charity. Suddenly from the heart of that worker emerged a terrifying male Chandala, followed soon by a female Chandala. Together they rushed towards the Brahmana and entered his body. The king watched in horror, struck dumb by fear. Yet the Brahmana remained unperturbed. With unwavering composure, he began reciting the 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, fixing his mind upon Lord Govinda. As the sacred verses flowed from his lips, divine Vishnudutas descended instantly and drove away the two dark beings. Astonished, the king later questioned the Brahmana, Who were those dreadful forms, and by which sacred utterance were you protected? Upon which deity did you meditate? The Brahmana replied, Those beings were sin itself and offense itself, assuming visible forms. When they attacked, I took refuge in the 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, a chapter that dispels fear and annihilates impurity. Through its recitation, my remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Govinda never falters. Deeply moved, King Chandrasharma learned the 9th chapter of the Gita from that Brahmana and made its recitation his daily work. In due course, he attained the supreme refuge, the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. When Madhava heard this entire account from the goat, his heart was transformed. Recognizing the higher truth beyond ritual alone, he immediately released the goat from sacrifice. Thereafter, he devoted himself wholeheartedly to the daily recitation of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and by that devotion, he too attained the eternal service of Lord Govinda. The conclusion of this story, the supreme glory of Gita recitation. This sacred narrative teaches an enduring lesson. While rituals performed without deeper surrender may bind the soul, the recitation of Bhagavad Gita, especially when imbued with devotion, liberates even the most fallen. The Gita is not merely a scripture, it is the living voice of the Supreme Lord. Its verses burn away sin, dissolve fear, and awaken remembrance of God. One who takes refuge in its recitation, even amidst danger or confusion, is protected by divine grace and guided unfailingly to the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. Narayana, Narayana.